2011, a couple of mercenaries escaped the back streets of Junction, still wanted by the masses. If you can find them, maybe you can call the late team, the voices of Reading.
Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to The Late Show. I'm your host Babar Ali with my co-host Soggy. Jazakallah khair for everyone for tuning in, listening and supporting our show. Today's show is going to be a good one. It's about corruption, and not only corruption, but corruption in the Pakistani communities. And why is it that, Pakistanis, are seen as corrupt in general? And where this stems from, and is it fair? These are the sort of things that we're going to discuss on today's show. It's an open discussion. The phone lines are live. We'll be giving out the numbers shortly. Also, you can get involved via text message as well. We'll be giving out that number as well very shortly, inshallah. So we've been away for a few weeks. We wanted to come up with a good open discussion. Something that everyone can get involved with, and I think today we've got that. Soggy, so why have we come up with this open discussion today?
Assalamu alaikum to everyone out there. I hope everyone's well, inshallah. With The Late Show, we try to bring informative discussions every Wednesday, inshallah. If it doesn't happen every Wednesday, that means there's nothing out there for us to talk about, because we don't want to just come on and talk about nothing. Well, obviously this subject's come into the domain in the mainstream, and it's very important that us as Pakistanis, and being in a position, i.e. with this radio station, to address the Pakistani side of it, and due to a lot of Pakistanis people listening, so they can have their say. Is it fair to slay the Pakistani, the whole community? It's a simple question. I don't think it is personally, no. And for this gentleman to come out to say, to blast the whole Pakistani community, I don't want to be biased, being a Pakistani, I think it's unfair. Without any further ado, at the last minute we called in Chacha Manzoor, the chairman of the Pakistani Community Centre, with his views, and alongside him we have a full studio, mashallah, with all perspective of all views regarding the community. So without any further ado, Assalamu alaikum, Chacha, how's your week been?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Tiring, hard work, paying my taxes and the VAT and all of my business tax and everything else. So where's this corruption?
Where is this corruption?
Yeah.
Why is it that Pakistanis are being targeted? I mean, are we openly corrupt people?
Well, I don't think we're as a community we're openly corrupt. So as a community we're very hardworking, and I think if you see all those pictures on Channel 4 the other day, the lady went round and did loads of shops. Now the thing is, all of those shops make a contribution to the economy of this country. They pay their taxes, and they pay dividends to the running of the government. Now, what does that say to all the offshore companies? And I'm pretty sure there's loads of petroleum companies who make billions and billions and billions, and they don't pay any taxes to this country. So where's their contribution, and where's this favoured culture? I mean, what I would like to know is how many of those companies are given favoured contracts when they don't even pay taxes in this country, So this is where we got to take this corruption back to, so that we can bring this country into some sort of sensible country which has got taxes coming in, which then can spend on the economy. And these offshore companies should be the target, and we need to know how many of our MPs and our lords and all those people actually inside jobs give them contracts. How many of those got contracts? That's what I'd like to do, find out. And we all know in the arms race, the old government has been renowned to give out handouts, commissions to those people who arrange armament sales, So where is this corruption? That's what I would like to find out. Where is it endemic? Is it in the Pakistani community who are hard-working and they, actually work as a family, as a unit to try and earn a living? Now, is the corruption there and we pay our taxes, or is it somewhere else?
How true is that? How true is you saying the whole Pakistani is paying tax? On a personal level, yes, you may be, but how can you justify everybody else in the Pakistani community? There must be a reason for this politician going by the name of Dominic Grive to make this allegation?
Well, what he was saying is that it's endemic in terms of people going out to vote, okay? And then when they vote, they expect favours, okay? Now, if you look at the way our government works, they have these bodies or these rich people who actually fund some of these parties, okay? Now, what is he saying is that they don't do no favours for these media moguls. They don't do no favours for the oil companies when they actually sponsoring these parties. Now, similarly, if we're voting for a particular party, then obviously we expect some sort of policies which are good for us, which are economically good.
Why is he highlighting only the Pakistani community and specifically saying it's not the Indian community?
Because the way I see it is that the Pakistani community have started coming out to vote, right? And this is their fear. A lot of other communities don't come out and vote. They're given up on the politics. A lot of our communities will come out and vote, and they'll vote big times for those parties who, they consider are favourable to them. Okay, over to you, Mirza.
Okay, so we also have
Assalamu alaikum.
Mirza here.
I think it also could be the old case of divide and conquer as well. I mean, at the end of the day, right, normally when they associate, say, Pakistani, they'll associate the whole Indian subcontinent. That would include Bangladesh, that would include Sri Lanka, India. So they normally tend to tar us with the same brush, but here for some reason they're trying to divide us. Now, for whatever reason, God only knows. But, like we were saying, it's not so much corruption overall, it's more regarding votes. And I think, I'm not talking our experience here or anything, but we're a bit like slappers when it comes to us and voting. A hug and a kiss, right, goes a long way with us, yeah? So somebody who's a little bit sweet or something, next thing you know that, we'll all be going and voting that person. We need to change that. This guy, okay, he's got a few facts. Most of it's a lot of rubbish, but a few facts. There was a case in Slough where the guy actually got he got a 3-4 year term in prison for what he did. And they have these ghost votes. There's a lot of this stuff that does go on. We tend to think that we are smart sometimes, but we're not that smart, But I think overall corruption is not something that we are into. But when it comes to elections, I think we tend to go in that direction a little bit, for whatever reason. Again, God knows.
What could be the reasons, why it's mostly to do with elections and voting that we've been.
Well, the Pakistani community's got a history of voting for Labour. That's straight up. They've voted for Labour because they feel Labour's done lots of favours for them. And if the Conservatives feel that somehow they're not getting the percentage of the vote, then they need to come out and meet us and appeal to us and tell us what policies are good for us and how they are gonna what is an offer. Okay. But every community votes to, put their cross against a party on the basis of what they're offering. Okay. Now, in terms of this Lord Grieve, you know what he should be focusing on is how many members of the Pakistani community have they got within their party, right? And how many people have been nominated for future MPs? You know, how many candidates have been nominated in proportion to the communities, you know, where there are large minorities of Pakistanis, you know? So are they inclusive? Labour is pretty much inclusive, and some of the other parties are trying to catch up. So the Conservatives need to catch up, you know. They've got a long way to go. And if they don't want to catch up, then obviously the Muslim community is going to, or the Pakistani community is going to go and vote for those parties who are inclusive and, you know, they're welcoming them. You know, it's a simple fact.
Conservatives haven't exactly sort of like, you know, welcomed us with open arms. But having said that, the person in question from Slough actually was Conservative. He did something that he shouldn't do to try and get a Labour person out. So he was actually Conservative. Maybe that's where their gripe is, that the one Conservative that they got was crooked.
So this stems to the whole of the community, does it? So in general, I mean, let's get views out there. I mean, people out there listening, if you want to call in, you're listening to the Late Show on One Ummah, it's 0118 966 8669872. And if you want to text in with any queries or questions, please do so on 07909 567 527.
I'm just going to say one thing, guys, right? The English Dictionary of Endemic, right, is a disease or condition found among particular people or in a certain area. Now, that's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, you telling me that they don't have phrases in this country like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You know, these kind of things go on everywhere, so it shouldn't really be just targeting us, you know. Everybody's got their fair share. I think he's apologized since, right, and everything, but initially he shouldn't have said that. I mean, you say something and you kickstart something, doesn't matter how much you was them retract it, people's impression is altered already. So you can say sorry or whatever, but sorry doesn't really cut it.
I mean, if I was looking at the Conservative Party in its present form, I'd say it's full of the Eton Club, you know. If whoever went to Eton, they come and join us, and, you know, even if they belong to another party like the Lib Dems, you know, you can still be in bed with them because they, you know, their leader is, went to Eton, didn't he? So, you know, us down the road who went to certain school, you know, we haven't got a network. So maybe we should be thinking about having networks. You know, because that kind of thing, it shows that within our government, networks do work.
So I wonder if racism is endemic to the Western Tories then, because they ain't exactly welcoming us, are they?
Well, I wouldn't say.
Can we make a statement like that? No, we can't. We can't generalize. So they shouldn't be allowed to generalize either.
Well, there's one personal opinion, wasn't it? I don't think it was a. Well, I'm not sure if it's a whole Conservative Party, but there's one person view, and obviously felt deep for him to come out and say such a farcical thing. And by obviously going back and saying sorry and apologising, he's exploited himself anyway for what he is. But as Pakistanis do, I mean, I feel we don't do ourselves any favours anyway. There's a lot of things that go against us, and we show ourselves up on many occasions, even at the higher levels. So, you know, I'm talking here like the cricketers, like the grooming of girls case that's been in the public domain for a while. You know, we're top of the list as where it comes as so-called drug dealing, drugs, etc., etc. So, as Pakistanis, what's your views on that? Or am I talking gibberish there?
Well, you are talking gibberish there.
Go on then, I'll put it out to you. What, the cricketers didn't take a
No, listen.
The cricketers, listen. Some of the bribery stuff, came in mostly from the Indian cricket. Okay, that's where most of the gamblers who were trying to get them to gamble and, you know, were laying bets, and that's where some of the sponsors were coming from. But having said that, you know, nobody's sort of tried to highlight the fact that some of the people who were behind this gambling ring were Indians, you know. So what do we start blaming the Indians? If you got one or two bad apples, then, you know, you can't blame a whole community, you know. But what I think the worry from all of these politicians is that as a group, we're a very, very strong community because we're in this country and we got this group identity. We're together more, yeah, and we do vote together as a group. So I think this is the threat, and what they're trying to do is say, oh well, maybe we're corrupt because we vote as a group, And I believe that there is good strength if we do vote as a group. So I don't see any problem in that, as long as you're setting the agenda and you want something back for your community. And as they say, there's nothing for nothing. We can vote as a group, and we should be protecting our interests. I mean, I'm sure, people like the Jewish lobby in America, and I'm sure there's a big Jewish lobby in England, here in Britain. They, encourage vote, and they sponsor those parties who are going to reflect their interests. So maybe what we're not doing is, as a group, we're not, sponsoring those people who reflect our interests. But somehow this Grieve guy thinks that we were voting for people who are, who are favouring us. So I don't know how many favours the Conservatives have done the Pakistani community. I really don't know. This is David Cameron, who said a few years ago that Pakistan was a sponsor of terror. Whereas Pakistan's lost so many lives, the army's lost so many lives, and we've made a large contribution within the war against terror, and they still think that we're somehow their enemy as well. So these are some of the politicians who are coming out with this rubbish. But I think generally I'd say that vote for those people who are actually going to reflect in their policies and who are working towards more of a cohesive society, both here in Britain and across the world. We need more peacemakers in this world rather than some of these guys who create divisions and conflict amongst different communities.
Okay, let's go to a few text emails I've got here. The first one's fairly long. Let me just break it down, just read through it, it'll be easier. It says, corruption exists in all communities, regardless of race or religion. Some people are just better at hiding, concealing their behaviour than others. It's highly unfair and, might I add, unprofessional for a person in the position of Attorney General to be making such judgmental and narrow-minded comments. Fair comment there. This is not to say that underhanded behaviour does not exist in the Pakistani community, but to say that corruption is endemic is minority communities. It's unjust and tarnishes the name honest and hard-working communities. Fair comment again. Maybe he's forgotten all about the expensive scams and a lot of MPs pulled and the whole cash for question saga in the 90s. Great points there. So, again, it's highlighting that it's not only the Pakistanis. If corruption exists, it exists in all fields and all walk of life. So I don't know what you want to say on that, Bob.
Yeah, it's pretty much a fair point, I think, from that message there. We'll talk a little bit about corruption overseas, particularly Pakistan. Obviously, we know about Pakistan. You guys are elders. You know more about Pakistan than we do. Why is it that, Pakistan is, well known for corruption? Where does all this stem from, or is it just...
Well, if you ask me, I blame Britain for all of that, right? Because, I'll give you my own family perspective, yeah, okay? My grandfather was, what they call the mayor or whatever you call it for Jhelum, okay? Now that's been passed on from over 100 years from, my grandfather to his son and then their son, and, it's like it's become like a caste thing, yeah? Now that was brought in from the Raj, okay? Now if you look at Pakistan as a whole, majority of the ruling families are leftovers of the Raj. And even the laws, if you went to Pakistan today and you had to deal with the law, then it'd be done in the English language, and the courts and the judges would be the ones who studied the English law, yeah? I mean, that's not relevant in Pakistan, you know. And English, if you've been arrested, then the statements would be written in English. Now, the average person in Pakistan, okay, the ordinary working person, can't read English. It's not his mother tongue. So he can't really defend himself. So even the law is geared towards those lawyers who were trained or who are the remnants of the Raj, you know. And the ruling classes in Pakistan, if you ask me, are remnants of the Raj, yeah. And obviously, of course, they're corrupt, you know, and they don't want to let go of the country. And I think the West is mostly supportive of them, and they've basically got hegemony in Pakistan in terms of who rules Pakistan, you know. So really the change in Pakistan is going to only come when there's a real revolution. And, you know, inshallah, maybe one day we will have a revolution and we'd rid this corruption from Pakistan, you know, this system which has been left over of these guys who are mega rich, and, you know, they've got loads of money in other countries, and they, you know, steal the wealth of the Pakistan, and, you know, they invested in other countries. And, you know, when their turn comes, or they're thrown out of power, then they move to Dubai and the other lot rule, and then when they're thrown out of power, then they move to Dubai and this lot go back. So it's like a daylight robbery in Pakistan, you know, by those people who were left in power when the British left the country, and they put them in power, you know. So unfortunately, you know, the average person is too busy trying to feed his family, you know. Trying to put the dinner and the food on the table every day is a struggle for the average Pakistani, you know, millions and millions of them. And I don't think they've even got time to think about corruption, because they're working hard to put the food on the table. And so the minority who are corrupt are really, you know, leftovers. And this is what Pakistan, unfortunately, we can't deal with that. That's what the Pakistani people in Pakistan need to sort out. And eventually, you know, as they get more and more educated and we try and create a civic society, then hopefully, you know, they'll change that. But, you know, as when it's going to happen, I really don't know. But inshallah, I think with the, you know, the education and information, the way it's, you know, it's, everybody can get information, technology, and as more people read and they, you know, learn more about how societies govern and run, hopefully the Pakistanis will one day start voting for people who are decent and honest, and we might get some good governance.
Yeah.
That's good for over there, but back to over here, guys. Yeah, it's up to you, the youngsters. Now, I'm not saying that you turn against your parents and your elders, but if your parents and elders tell you something, because back to this favor thing, because they know somebody back from the village and they owe somebody something, and then they tell you, the time comes, you've got to watch them go and vote for this person, or you got to stick by this person. You have to turn around and say, Dad, I can't. You know, fair enough, you owe him a favor, you were playing together back in the fields in Pakistan, but it doesn't wash over here. I can't do that because he doesn't represent properly. He can't do what we want him to. So we need people that obviously haven't done you any favors, but that can represent us as we are now and today. So it's up to you lot. Do you follow your parents and say, yes sir, 3 bags full sir? Or do you say, Dad, I still love you, my brother, uncle, whatever, I still love you, but I'm not going to be going down that road. We need changes here. We can't go carry on with the old school thing of favors, like the man said, you know. So we need to change. And
yeah, but there's no substance in his statement, Mirza. So I don't think we ever do favors to any particular party. Yeah, we do vote in terms of who protects our interests.
Yeah, but no,
you know?
Okay, that's for those
but
parties.
I think
we've got a case here, right? Let me just tell you about within ourselves. No, he's wrong, and I agree with you. But we do have this sense. Just say in Pakistani, bo mithaya, ma klava maar ke milya. So we have this kind of mentality where somebody comes and hugs you and kisses you, you think that that person is so nice and so sweet. But sweet, right, is going to make you diabetic. It'll kill you one day. It's better to have a bit of sour. Okay? I'm sour.
Okay, there's many brothers here in the studio. I would like to get a different view from Brother Julian there. I know he's very political, and obviously, let me highlight this, he's not a Pakistani, and
well, it's okay. I'm a freshie. I'm fresh from the gym, so sorry if I'm stinking out the studio. Great to be back in here. My ears pricked up when brother, I don't know your name.
Manzoor
mentioned divide and conquer. and this goes back to the topic we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
That's correct, yeah.
I would say that the creation of Pakistan was a corrupt act. Now that might sound harsh, but that was another example of the divide and conquer. And on my topic of Palestine, I said it was wrong to create a Jewish state in the Middle East. I also think it was wrong to create a country for Muslims in what was India, and a country so-called for Hindus. That meant pushing people out of their homes. In a similar way, Pakistan was created by the same people that created Israel for the same reason that Israel was created, for this divide and conquer. And that was 60 years ago, and divide and conquer is going on again.
Just hold a second there. So basically what you're saying is that Pakistan was created by corrupt individuals?
By corrupt individuals, i.e. the UK government.
Okay, what can you tell the strong nationalists of Pakistan?
Well, I think we're moving away from the topic.
Oh no, what I'm saying
Well,
is that because he's saying that Pakistan was built by corrupt people.
If you are,
that's going to upset a lot of people because they don't believe that.
If you are a Pakistani nationalist, I would say to you that you're following a false nationalism that was created by an imperial power to trick you into going against your Hindu brother or your Sikh brother who was your neighbour for 1,000 years, and it's happening again. Only this time, I think the person who made this comment is actually trying to divide the Muslims in this country who are united and who do vote together, and it's been crucial in several elections recently. Not a good example would be when George Galloway won in Bradford. Labour tried to put a Pakistani Sadiq Khan, a traditional Pakistani guy from the community, against George Galloway, thinking that the Pakistanis will go with the nepotism. In their mind, the Pakistanis are corrupt and they'll fall for it. But Muslim people, young people, students in that country, normal working class white people didn't fall for it, and they voted, I think, the better man, not the man who was their relative or their neighbour's friend. So I think this is a case of trying to divide the Muslims by picking on the Pakistanis in particular.
So you're saying that they put in certain puppets, as you might say, just for their own benefits.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And people fall for it.
Yeah, I think so, and hopefully you guys talking about it tonight will open people's eyes and they won't fall for it.
Well, if we can change one or two people, maybe for the best, that'd be great. But
That's
we're not
my
going to change
job as
everybody.
well.
We're not going to change the whole community. We're just here to have an open discussion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If you want to get involved with this discussion, you might think differently. Julian said that Pakistan was built on a corrupt idea. If you want to say anything.
No.
Well, what's the comeback? I mean, I think.
I wouldn't. To be honest with you, that's not the topic today. Yeah.
No. I'm not. No. We're not going to try to create an argument. It's just a different opinion.
Pakistanis have come from Pakistan, so Pakistan was born somewhere. So we're going back to the history. That's where Julius.
Yeah,
We're going
but
to the origins, yeah.
even if you go in the history, the Pakistani, the Muslims, before the Raj happened, they were the ruling classes, and they had ruled India for good 600-700 years, and when you start becoming ruled by a system which has got a caste system, and where Muslims were going to be treated differently, then the Muslim community of India, a large majority of them wanted to create a country which was going to reflect Islam and was going to be based on the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Okay, that was the idea behind that. Obviously, it's not happened in the history of Islam. I mean, in the history of Pakistan, you understand? But according to Pakistan's constitution, even today, they're meant to rule the country according to the Sharia of Islam and also the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So really, that was the idea behind it. But at the same time, whilst they were going to rule according to Sunnah and Sharia, they were all also going to protect the non-Muslims, and they were going to be respected as citizens of Pakistan. You understand? So that was the idea behind it, and quite a few of the scholars the Muslim scholars gave rulings to support this creation of Pakistan, whereas some of the scholars in India went against that ruling, because obviously there's Muslims in India as well, large chunk of them. So each of the scholars had that debate, because they were acting on the behalf of some of the Muslims in India, and some of the others were acting on behalf of the majority Muslims in Pakistan. But I think the idea was, there's nothing wrong with the idea of creation of Pakistan. It's just the way how things have moved on over the century, or nearly a century, so over 50 years. So the idea was good, and the creation was good. It's just the way things have turned out at the moment, because we have like I said, we had the remnants of the Raj in Pakistan, left to rule us. So that is the which is the wrong bit when it comes to Pakistan. But in terms of the creation of it, it's very good. And I think if you speak to some of the Indians who actually live in India, the way some of them been treated. I mean, I'll give you an example in Gujarat, which is going to be the maybe possibly future Prime Minister of India, Modi. Yeah, okay. Because of him, thousands and thousands of people were killed. Right, okay. Now, we got Pakistan here. At least there is a country there. If worse comes to worse for the Muslims of India, if things really turn bad for them, So I wouldn't say the idea is bad. It's just that we need to create a good governance, and it needs to reflect our Islamic identity for Pakistan, But not to say in terms of Palestine, okay, it's. What I would say to the brother is that, okay, the Jewish state has been created, but what I would say is that basically, if the Jews were sensible, then they should try and create a state which reflects the Palestinians' rights and also their rights. I mean, in England we can live together, and I don't see why Jewish people and the Muslims can't live together, because they've lived together in the past. And I don't believe in this two-state system anyway, because how are you going to share things? How are you going to share Jerusalem and all of these other things? So I think in this day and age, Jewish people and the Muslims, of Palestinian Muslims living together, even as a secular state, would be probably a better solution than having a two-state solution, because I think the two-state solution is out of the window. What I say, it's got to be one state, and it should reflect the different faiths. And in terms of not only just Jews, but also the Christians who live in Bethlehem and in Israel, they've got rights as well. So that's my take on that. Sorry.
Well, can I say I agree with you 100% on Palestine, but if you can't see the mirror image in what happened in India, and what was India, the creation of Pakistan and East Pakistan, as it was called, which is now Bangladesh, that was the two-state solution, and I don't think it was a solution. Imagine how strong the whole of India would have been if you put Pakistan, Bangladesh and India all together. The Muslim population might be 51%. It would have been a big, strong Muslim country, and the British powers that be couldn't bear that, and that's why they chopped it up like cake. And down the road, if there is a two-state solution in Palestine, the Gaza is going to be the equivalent of Bangladesh. The West Bank will be like Pakistan, and I dread to imagine a day where someone from the West Bank says, "Well, I'm a West Bankani and I hate people from Gaza," which you do hear from Bangladeshis and Pakistanis. But I respect your opinion, and you know more than me about it.
It's weird though, because what you just said, honestly, that's what I always thought. Everybody always said Jinnah made Pakistan, and I said, well, there's no Jinnahs in Africa, and there's no Jinnahs in the Middle East, and the Middle East was all divided up, Iraq and Kuwait and Emirates and everything. Then you got the African states, Uganda and everything. There was no Jinnah over there. Who carved them up? So over here, I just think, right, I mean, you're trying to get EU and everything over here, but over there, right, you've got that whole place divided, and now you've got such animosity and hatred there, right? For the past 40 odd years, everyone keeps saying, but oh, they did this in the partition, they did, and that's never going to die, and it's still there to this day. I mean, those two countries spend more money on arms than anybody else. Why? Because they need a deterrent against the other. Now, personally speaking, right, that is divide and conquer. Yes, they left there, but it's still there. You divide something, it's going to be weak. But you leave it all in one piece, right? One day, look at China. China's a force to be reckoned with. Now, they've got Muslims there. They've got all kinds of different Cantonese Chinese and all sorts of Chinese. But it's all one big China. And look at it today.
Yeah, but
and
Muslims are oppressed, in China.
Huh?
So Muslims are oppressed in China.
But Muslims are oppressed in Pakistan.
Listen, what I'm saying is...
Tell me, Muslims are oppressed in Pakistan and we're killing each other every single day. We don't need anybody else.
Yeah, but in some cases it's worse, isn't it? It's worse. In some places it's worse.
There,
but you're moving away from the from the topic,
original
please.
thing, but back to this.
What we need to do is bring ourselves back to the topic, and then really, if you want to have this discussion about the creation of Pakistan, then we have a discussion about the Pakistan creation another time, and then we'll look at,
To me, it all stems from one thing. It obviously stems from a creation. But okay, we've got a caller, and shall we go to the caller first? What are you talking about?
Okay, yeah. While Soggy's just getting through to the caller, we had another text come through. Basically, the text is saying is, be fair, New Labour is riddled with Etonians. It's not endemic to Tories only.
Shall I put it through live?
Well, I mean, listen.
1 second, please.
We got a caller, right?
Brother Mustafa wants to go live and air a few opinions.
Alright, okay, go on.
Take the headphones here.
Assalamu alaikum, Mustafa. Can't hear anything, man.
Can you not hear now?
Hello? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Oh, wa alaikum salam, rahmatullah.
Alright, Mustafa, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, go on.
Listening to it, and you're going all international, man.
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to tell these guys to keep it, local to this grief guy, so that, we get a proper grief.
Yeah, I just want to give you some thoughts. And I think there's a couple of things that you need to consider. One is this, Brother Mirza actually put his finger on it, the use of the term endemic. Kind of singles out the Pakistani community as being kind of particularly corrupt. So I think it's good to come back and challenge that concept and say, look, it's not particular to any one community. And to be fair to the guy, he has come back with a clear apology. And really this is about repairing some of that damage, just to get back and say, look, it's not just particularly to the Pakistani community. And Dominic Grieve himself, as a Tory goes, he's quite mild. He's defended things like the European Court of Human Rights, and that's a court of law where, when the British courts of law let the Muslims down, very often it can end up at a court like that. So he's defended those kind of institutions. So to be just, yes, he's made a very, very bad comment. He's made an apology, and really it's about rebutting that and saying it's not endemic. That's one side of the story. The other is that I think each community needs to clean up their own act. So if it's bankers, they have to blow the whistle on corrupt colleagues. If it's within our own community, it doesn't mean to say that we just hit back and say no, it's not endemic to us and we don't do anything about it. We do have to deal with things within our own community, and the Pakistan Community Centre is just a case in question anyway, because most people, you ask the Muslim community, Pakistani community in Reading, previous elections, there's been lots of hoo-ha. There's been cameras put up, there's been talk of buses coming in from Birmingham and High Wycombe and Slough, so there are real issues that go on in Reading. And in a way, what makes it laughable is this: the corruption that goes on in the wider politic of this country is at a next level. You're talking millions and billions. The corruption that we kind of embarrass ourselves with is fairly misdemeanor. It's almost like child's play, and it looks really stupid. That's the thing, It's very tactless. It's very unsophisticated. I'm not saying you should be sophisticated in corruption, but when people do it, then do it in a way that doesn't cause embarrassment to the community. And unfortunately, the Pakistani community goes about it as if they're doing things, I don't know, in some
I think that's why,
way.
I think, we're a community which maybe does need to grow up, but I think we get emotional occasionally, and I think that is more getting emotional towards your way of thinking, and then maybe acting in a wrong way. But I don't think as a community anything's endemic in us, and I think we are very hard working. I've just done a 12-hour shift myself, and still sat here, and I don't think really we've got any diseases such as what he's saying. But nevertheless, I mean, my hat's off if he agrees that there should be human rights for everybody. Then good, But at the same time, he's made a huge mistake by labelling us in a certain way. So I'm glad that he's apologised. But what I'm saying is, as a party, the Conservative Party needs to reach out to us if they want our votes. And I think it's more about, Pakistanis not voting for them is their issue, I reckon, more than anything else.
There is that, but also, I mean, we shouldn't have, short memories. You can see how Labour's messed things up in Reading in terms of dividing the community on very, very bad fractures over the whole Green Road issue.
Well,
and I don't want to bring that whole thing up again, but it's not particularly.
Yeah, but Mustafa, I'm a Labour man myself, and when it came to Green Road, I spoke up. I've been speaking up since 97, 98. I put out leaflets during 2001 when our leaders were saying that we've been given Green Road Mosque, and I was saying they haven't given you nothing at all, and that they wanted us to still support them when the Labour group went to war, And we put leaflets out saying that don't support them in terms of war and don't sell out over this land issue. And unfortunately, some of our brothers, did sell out the leadership. That is, And but at the end of the day, there was plenty of us speaking against that, and
there was, but
Labour did lose some seats as well. But at the same time,
the chairman of the Pakistani Community Centre, which is apolitical, that means it's non-political. But your role is not to necessarily take sides or promote any one particular party. So all I'm trying to do is just bring some balance in. I'm saying, I know there's a stereotypical view that is Tory white toffs, but unfortunately there are, white toffs, and there's people within the Labour group itself who would quite quickly divide and rule and quite quickly run rings around the Pakistani community. And I'm not saying all of the Labour group or all of the Tory or whichever political party are bad. I'm not going to wholesale rubbish them all. All I'm saying is you've got to keep the balance, and I think the way you need to approach it is to say, look, in terms of corruption, everyone get their own house in order. Just before I go, I'll give you one real life example of corruption right in my face over the Aisha Mosque, right? So this is kind of in the wake of Green Road. I had one of the uncles basically face to face, and I had two. In fact, I suppose they're all three of them are committee members on one of the masjids. But anyway, two of them were witness to this, and one of them, he says to me, "Oh, you've got a planning application running in Wokingham at the moment, have you? So you think that's out of our reach, do you? We can make trouble for you." That's the words that came from this uncle. We can make trouble for you. And the only thing I could come back with, I'll say, look, uncle, the only thing genuinely I can say is that some people are working to do something and make something, and some people trying to destroy something. And for me, that was like in-your-face corruption. And I think, until some of these really, excuse my French, until some of these really shit people are basically put out to dry, and some of the youngsters come through and give us some ethics and give us some, decent governance, I don't think things are going to change.
You know what, Mustafa? The only thing I can think of here is, I used to have a moan at the uncles in Alexander Road about, why they're letting these guys get away with so much, and still saying that, they're going to get this Green Road Mosque and everything else. But every time I used to push them, they used to say, listen, if it's going to happen, if Allah wants this to happen, inshallah it will happen, And let me finish, Musfa. They had tawakkul of Allah, yeah? You understand? And then on the other hand, we had the mischief makers promising them, saying that, oh, we've given you this land, yeah? Or we've done this for you, or we've done that for you, yeah? Okay? And then, in the end, they tried to dump the whole thing, yeah? And then they took away the whole thing from them. But those brothers, that what I can say, the uncles had tawakkul, and alhamdulillah, Allah has honored them with Aisha Masjid, and the mischief makers have now shown themselves. So I think majority of our community know who those mischief makers are, who are those people who promise these things and they never delivered, And really, if you think about it, if you have tawakkul in Allah, Allah will deliver His promises, and the mischief makers are nothing but false promises, And what we've heard out of this, Muslim, what we heard in this Asian Mosque and Green Road experience is that the truth has prevailed and the falsehood has been brought out in the open, and those people who made these false promises are known to us. Everybody knows who those false promises people are, and hopefully inshallah it should be a lesson for all of our future generations not to put our trust in these people, but to actually help ourselves and do things ourselves and really have faith in Allah like these elderly, and that's what we need more of. Jazakallah.
What Mirza is saying, you need to foster independent thinking amongst the youngsters. If they ask questions, let them ask more questions and be brave enough to answer them, We should encourage that kind of line of inquiry and that independence. I'm very much against this, following like sheep. Unfortunately, that happens a lot, But anyway, let's see what happens.
Jazakallah, brother.
Jazakallah, Mustafa, for your call. Thank you. Great points there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I just say something? We've had a privilege of somebody making a program about the way we are, and that program is Citizen Khan, and it's a piss take, and it makes us look ridiculous, but in fact it's true, because we have got these Citizen Khans. We've got far too many of them. They all want to be in the limelight, they all want to be in the forefront, and they don't know squat. So I'm hoping now the next generation we don't have any more Citizen Khans.
Funny you say that. We sent our invite to Citizen Khan to appear on the late show, so we're just waiting on a reply there, so you can ask him directly yourself.
But I know that's fine, that's okay on the TV, but here in our community we don't want Citizen Khans. We want intelligent people to represent us.
Why do you think?
Yeah, but we got people like Lord Nazir, man. Come on, he hits hard and he does speak up, Well, how many people have tried to really blemish his reputation? And the man stands up each time, Lord Nazir. Alhamdulillah, we got other people who are very, sincere, and they stand up for what they believe, So we got, keep that balance, We haven't got total rubbish like that, Citizen Khan. We got people who do stand up.
There must be, up and down the country, there must be scenarios like that for someone to pick up on it and then make a whole program, and not just one but two series out of it.
So what about people like Sadiq Khan, man? All these other MPs, some of them, very strong, and they stand up for things, So, and we've got plenty of personalities,
well, that's good.
role models for us.
We do need them.
Citizen Khan is popular because people can relate to him.
Why? Because every community's got one. Our community, at every town. Is that what it
correct.
is?
Must be. Because to have 9 million viewers or whatever, people must be tuning into something. If it was rubbish, it wouldn't be that popular, would it?
No, it is rubbish. It's demeaning as well. He can't say anything right. So does that mean that... Does that reflect our community? Does Citizen Khan reflect our community?
No, I think... what?
No, as Pakistanis. He's a
what Citizen Khan's doing really is basically highlighting of what other people think of us. Right, okay?
Yeah.
But if you go back in time, what was that guy... what was his name, man? Come on. That old man used to...
Alf Garnett,
yeah? Okay? Alf Garnett. So that's, he brought out a lot of prejudices against some communities, by white people, how they sort of yeah, exactly. So similarly, I think what Citizen Khan's done is he's kind of bringing out the stereotypes of people who hold their views on us, really, rather than yeah,
What do you think?
Well, I hope not.
Everyone has an opinion.
What he's done is he's trying to bring out stereotyping of us. How people think we might be. You understand? And that's what Alf Garnett did. Even Alf Garnett did. He brought out the stereotyping of black people and some of the, the immigrants. Yeah, even though he was an immigrant himself, coming from a Jewish family. So I think we mustn't really.
It's light-hearted.
Yeah.
I think we need for people to perceive us as intelligent people, and an asset to this, New England, basically.
Go on, Julian.
I think the difference with Alf Garnett was that he was actually trying to make the joke be on the racist, and some racist people didn't get that and thought, haha, yeah, he's having a pop at black people. The joke was actually, well, how stupid are racist people? Just like Ali G does it, and Borat, the other character. The joke is that people believe it, but I don't think Citizen Khan is doing the same thing. I think it's more of a self-referential, holding up the mirror to his own community in an exaggerated way. And I think a lot of the humour, Asian people get it as well as white British people or whatever it is. I think everyone can kind of, like, there's idiots in every community, you don't have to be a Pakistani dad to be Citizen Khan. I can see that. I can see elements of my own community in that program. Someone who wants to be all important. Well, that's what it is to be a human being. It just happens that he is a Pakistani, and if there is stereotypes in people's mind and they're racist anyway, then they're going to see it. Well, he's like that because he's Pakistani, not because, well, just that's what it is to be a human being. We're flawed.
Great point.
Welcome, salam.
Very patient there.
Very patient. Yeah, I thought that brother Julian get his bit on Alf Garnett, and he's right with Alf Garnett. It was the joke on the other side, but with Citizen Khan and what Mirza's been saying, to me, I personally think Citizen Khan he's making himself famous. The guy Adil Ray. Personally, I think that's, if you watch it carefully, the joke is on the Pakistani community.
Yeah.
And that's from him. If you I've read into it, really is him trying to get famous, and the only way he could do it is probably using that character, it seems.
Yeah, but he's obviously studied our community. I don't think he just sort of like woke up one day and came out with this. He's obviously studied our community, and he said, right, this is what these guys
but we don't know whether he studies our community. It's the program's being written by somebody else.
No, he's
written by himself.
Is that? Oh, he's written
He
by
created the character, and then
today?
he's managed to get the shot of it. And from what I've
okay.
heard from people who actually in the BBC, they've said that he pushed it. That you need to get some, from the Pakistani world.
He got us talking about it. He wasn't talking about it, so
He's got it, yeah. But so there's some points he's really, a lot of people are really, vexed with him.
It's funny. I find it funny.
Yeah. But let's go back to the real corruption.
This is the thing. Love to hear from Brother Churchy. Always opinionated.
What I want to know is who forgot to bribe Dominic Grive? Eh? How did we miss that one out?
Is it Grive or Grieve?
Take him to a curry house and feed
We
him.
can't be that corrupt because we should have, bribed him in the first place, and he would have kept his mouth shut.
So, what's your take on corruption? In our community or abroad, generally.
Our community.
Let's start with our.
Well, the Pakistani community, if it's corrupt, we must be doing a good job. But how come we're not really at the top at the moment in the government level? We don't really have any, top level people. Okay, Judge has mentioned Lord Nazir. There's Warsi. What's the name? I can't remember.
Sadiq Khan.
Yeah. No, there's Sadiq Khan. He's Labour. Yeah, Warsi. Baroness Warsi. Yeah.
Because it's coming down again to what Brother Mustafa was saying on the phone. It's self-gain. It's individual. No one's looking as a community. Everyone's on a self-gain here. It's personal. It's about me in the Pakistani community.
So basically, if a Pakistani excels in parliament or whatever, it's more to do with individual success rather.
Yeah,
than
but that's
helping people.
generally. I think that's for any any community really. Some people, when they certain positions they get in life.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're only aiming to be PCC chairman, you know, and not anything else.
No, but isn't that a contradiction to what we preach or what we stand for? I mean, we stand for family values, community values. Then we talk about brotherhood and sisterhood, and then when we get a sort of status, it's all for ourselves, and we forget about everything else.
Well, generally politics is a boring place, to be honest with you, and a lot of people really don't want to get engaged in politics because they don't believe maybe it's worth doing politics or being in the area of decision making, even though most of us are decision makers within our families. We have to make decisions about life in general. But what we're not doing is trying to sort of join in the wider concept of political life. So, and maybe some of us find it very boring, but I mean, however, there are young people now.
Those individuals that really are activists in our community are more not conservative or Labour. They're probably more socialist. They want to help because they want to help. It's not for any sort of gain.
So exactly.
But then just look up and down the country, Birmingham, London, East London, very affluent. The Muslim society, or generally Pakistani society, is very affluent now, with big businesses on the high streets. I mean, where would people get their takeaways and their kebabishes from now? Every night, where most people, even the general white public, where do they go after that? A few drinks, or before they have a few drinks, they're going to the curry houses, mainly run by Pakistanis. So, is that all corruption? Isn't that, like, as Manzoor mentioned, that's money going back into the system?
Hard work.
So, I think these kind of, like this guy, Dominic, whoever he is, these people, I think every month or every 2 months somebody comes out with a statement regarding Pakistanis, like you mentioned, the grooming issue, but they miss all the other grooming to do with, so many, white people. Oh, let's not go down there because too many of them from the BBC are coming out of the closets, isn't it? So you can't mention that. That's part and parcel of their life. But if we take a job and say, is every white person a paedophile using Jimmy Savile or Stuart Hall or these other characters?
Well, they knighted him.
Well, look at the recent one. This, who's it? The Prophets was some band member. That is just, you can't even talk about it. It's so sickening. That's how sickening it is.
But when it's something with them, right, you got to understand, they don't have Islam there. We're supposed to be Pakistanis second and Muslims first. We know what's right, we know what's wrong, we know what's halal, we know what's haram. So when we're grooming somebody, right, then it's double trouble. It's worse because we know. And if you don't know, like if you like that guy from the band, well, what's he know? He'd been singing a few songs, writing a few songs, and then he can go and do what he wants. But no one's ever sat there and told him about what's halal and what's haram. Out of everybody out there, we should not be doing anything wrong because we know the consequences of haram as well.
Yeah, but as human beings, we're all fallible. We make mistakes. To say we know, but we still do it, don't we? That's just generally any culture, any religion will make mistakes. We'll go down the wrong road. So this guy, obviously, he knows. I mean, he doesn't need to be told that you can't do that to babies. Come off it. That's common sense. That's just evil.
Yeah, but I mean, if a person's that low, then they've become sick, isn't it? So. It's a sickness.
Yeah, but this society looks up to people like that. That he's a role model for most, for 90% of the population. That character is a role model for them. That they should emulate him. And look, he's made it. And look what he does. And really, that's just going to be tomorrow. You ain't going to know about it. You ain't going to see that.
That'd be swept under.
Yeah, that'd be swept under. But the grooming stuff, when this Pakistani thing goes on for weeks until they find another story to do with Muslims or Pakistanis.
Do you think it's picking up? It's like the old term "packy bashing" again, like the 70s. They just want to bring it back up in a different concept.
Oh yeah, Jason Jinks, if you're listening, mate, I'll get you soon. Yes, we remember back in the days. Can we call you? Are we allowed to use the word "packy"? Oh, oops, I used it. Yeah, why is it we can use it and Julian can't use it?
You can use
packy. Yeah. Well done, mate. That offended me.
Stunning.
To me, like I went to mostly white school, and packy, to me, is in what concept it's said in. Like you could, like the black word with the N. It depends.
Says it and how they say
it's a concept of saying it. If it's meaningless, like, oh, Paki has it going kind of thing. It's, it's a friendly, it's friendly banter. But
if it's another Pakistani saying, it's fine, honestly. But when it comes from somewhere else,
because you don't like it, don't mean there's any bad intention in it. Because Pakistani takes a bit of while and time to get around, so Paki is easy. I don't take offence to it.
So yeah, I think usually it's clear from the intention with someone,
correct.
what someone is speaking about. I teach in secondary schools, and I get that question a lot from young, angry, white, racist kids who say, "Oh, sir, how come if we say such and such and they say it, we can't?" I say, "Well, look, what's the intent behind you saying it, and who are you saying it to, and do you know where they're from, or are you just looking at them and say, well, they've got a brown skin compared to me, so to me, that's other." Yeah. So I think that definitely racism is an issue. Or prejudice involved with what we've been talking about today. Definitely divide and conquer. You said about being Muslim first and Pakistani second.
First and foremost,
yeah,
that's what you should be.
I think this is a definite attempt to divide the Muslim community into Pakistanis and others. On that note, I'll ask the question. I had it in mind a few shows ago, and I didn't get a chance to ask it. Why is it the Pakistani Community Centre and not the Muslim Community Centre, if you are Muslim first and Pakistani second? It's a question.
Because there's Christians and there's Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan as well. So
for sure, but
yeah,
in Reading, how many Christian Pakistanis?
But in Reading, if you can't, it's very difficult. If you did, then you'd be discriminating.
Basically, it's simple. As taxpayers, hold on, let me explain to you. Yeah, okay. As taxpayers, the government has a duty to provide services for different groups. Okay. Now, even socially, whether we like it or not, human beings are always a group. Whether you put a whole group of white people, they will split into 3 or 4 different groups. You understand? It's what we call, social cohesion. Sometimes you're within an in group and sometimes you're in an out group. Okay, sometimes you have a group of friends, they're a group, and then you'll see a few of them will go away and they'll be a different group and they'll be another group. You understand? So that is a kind of natural instinctive thing that we do have, that we as a community, as a Pakistani community, we like to be as part of a group to protect our identity, which is kind of natural. Now, in terms of looking the wider society as a whole here, we're paying our taxes. Now, if the government is, sponsoring different communities to be part of this cohesive larger group and also be a separate entity, and they're putting resources in and they're giving these things to other communities, then I don't see anything wrong with the Pakistani community having a Pakistani community centre. But when we're in charge of that community centre, are we being unjust? That's the question you should be asking us. And I'm saying to you, since we've been here as share of Pakistani community, we've been trying to be very inclusive. We've got a Nepalese group meeting there who are not Muslims. We've got a Hindu group meeting there who are not Muslims. They do their religious activities there. Okay. We got a Shia group meeting there. They're doing their bits and pieces. And even though some of us are Sunni, so we're very inclusive. We got white groups, we've got women's groups, we've got mother and toddler groups. So all these different groups, meeting there socially, but we're very inclusive. So really, whether it's a Pakistani community centre, as long as it's interacting with other groups and providing services for the different groups, and they, treat them well, and they're, just, then I don't see anything wrong with that. And as taxpayers, if the Indian community is getting grants and services, then I don't see why we as Pakistanis are not getting them either.
Okay, Judge, I just want to ask a question. Obviously, now you're the new chairman for PCC, and for many years, obviously, PCC hasn't been going the way, a lot of the youngsters would want to see it go. I mean this guy Dominic Grive coming up with, that Pakistani, people generally are corrupt. I mean, does this give you impetus to make a big change in the community? Are you going to bring some different ideas to the PCC? How can you get rid of the corruption, Chacha, if it does exist in our community?
I don't know.
I think Judge has had a very serious message. Is it Thames Valley Police?
Well,
Yeah.
he's got a job.
Okay.
Well, being the new chair, and with this guy coming out with Pakistanis are corrupt.
Though, right? Seriously, you got to hand it to the man, right? Saturday when Channel 4 came down, and they came in there, and I was talking to them, and I said, listen, what I'll say is a bit controversial and everything. I think it's best that you speak to our chairman, and he'll say everything that's politically correct and the right way and everything. And he came down there, and straight away on the spot, he said about Western tackling all this stuff from the top, and he went on with the MP's expenses, etc., etc. You got all these other offshore accounts, like he mentioned, and then you got those coffee places that were not paying nothing. So on the spot, he was put on the spot, and he tackled it well. So alhamdulillah, I can't see any of the other guys coping with it.
So what's your question? Are you saying we're corrupt?
No, I'm just saying. Well, this guy's saying that we're corrupt, and now you
Listen,
being the chair.
Mirza's been the treasurer, okay, and it's so hard to even get 1p out of him, let alone a pound, yeah, okay, right?
Yeah, but how are you going to do activities if you're not giving any
well,
money?
the activities are being done, man, and look at the paint has been, the centres have been painted, and where did the money come from?
Donations, as far as I was aware.
Exactly, and donations from ourselves, some of the members, and
Well, that's a start, isn't it? Charity starts at home.
Exactly. So we're not. And I said when I took over, I said we're not going to be a begging bowl community. We're going to be determined, and we're going to be doing things ourselves. We're going to help ourselves, and we're going to look after our community. And since then, we've gone out there and done cleaning out of the centre. We've put our hands in our own pocket. I personally, I don't really like mentioning this, but I've personally put £700 or £800 of my personal money into that community centre to make it work. And there's other people who have put in loads of money in there. So we're putting hands in our pocket.
A lot of time, Chacha and by Mirza here and by Janaz out there. Amazing. I mean, Brother Basharat, I mean, we don't want to blow our own trumpet.
But these people are kind of, what I mean.
But it's a brilliant.
They're the cornerstones of the community, and they own businesses as well.
Well, it's the time. I mean, it's not easy giving up time, and there's been an amazing change in 6 or 7 months, and that's me trying not to be biased because I ain't done none of it.
And I think all of us doing things, Baba's doing things, then us, Amjad, and loads of other guys are helping out, man. And some of the staff there have started volunteering instead of being paid, just to get the centre out of trouble,
Level, yeah.
So there's so much goodwill. So I really don't think that corruption and PCC at the moment are interlinked in any way. I think people up there are doing things to help out. And you know what?
Do you think there was corruption before?
Well, look, I've got no proof to say that anybody was corrupt, but looking at the figures and everything else, I think it was mismanaged. Right? Okay, and I'm not saying that there was any
Very
corruption,
PC,
but mismanaged.
I like that.
So and I think some of the people, for whatever capabilities they had, they thought they tried to do their best, and unfortunately, maybe their best wasn't good enough.
That's it. Hence, team change came in, and
and
the good team change ain't even started.
There's a lot of things to deliver, guys.
Yeah, we ain't even started. It's not even a drop in the ocean, to be honest. It's just.
I just can't wait for the stuff you're going to do.
You lot are going to do. You lot, all of you.
That's me, you lot.
It's the community.
Can I just say something? Please?
Ever since I got elected chair. Yeah, I've got to take my hats off to Mirza. He's been really the force with the energy, The only thing I said to him, the only thing I can do is maybe put my hands in my pocket occasionally, right? And then make cups of tea and talk to you guys, right? And encourage you. Other than that, I can't paint, I can't decorate, I can't do any of those, but I can manage people, hopefully, inshallah.
We need the painting from outside to be finished, The guy, the painter that came, he only done the door. The other door needs to be doing, the window needs to be doing. We also need to doing some clearing up in the car park and everything as well. So please come forward,
This is a shout out to anyone listening.
No, you lot sitting
the
here.
general community.
Well, if Paul Bloomfield doesn't, do some of that painting, I'm going to go and see Kenny Bloomfield soon.
You have to sound good about that.
I mean,
Can we hear Paul live saying that he's going to help paint the outside and put some...
That's
Yeah, I'd just like to say something in that regards as well. Obviously, firstly, the committee has to do the work first, because we've been given responsibility by the people, so it's our responsibility to lead the way, and we're trying our best. And inshallah, by the will of God, everyone's seeing the results, and we will deliver more. The other thing I'd like to say is a lot of people say to me personally, just let me know when. Just let me know. I'll come down. No, it's not our job to tell you. You need to come forward, and you know what skills you have to offer or what you can do. Please come forward. We're not going to say no to anything. Even if it's sweeping up the floor or whatever it might be. Just come forward, and don't expect team change to come to you and say, oh, please, could you do this for us? Because that's not what we're here for. People need to do things from their own heart and from their own intention.
It's your centre, it's your community, together we're making...
Just let me know, yeah?
Anyway, can you let me know if I can go now?
We'll wrap up soon. But let's go.
Judge, it's called the late show, It means you stay till late.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be excused in a couple of minutes.
Hold on, I've got interesting. I've got an interesting text come through. Sorry, but I'm going to read it out anyway. I think Chacha needs to rally all the Pakistani or Muslims anti-war. Do an anti-war rally. We have a 1,000-man march through Reading to protest against drone strikes.
Yeah, good shout there. We'll go to the Forbury, their line. That's where we'll do it. Chacha, you're next on that.
The text is actually put the end there. I'm only joking, but actually that's quite a good text.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I personally feel that in terms of the drone strikes, they're not really doing the West any favours. They're not doing our community any favours in England. Whether we're white or Pakistani or English or whatever we are, as a community, they're not doing any favours to any one of us, because each time you lose a civilian life, it's as if you've killing the whole of humanity, and all of those people, who even the wronged ones, the ones who you think are terrorists, even those dying, in terms of in the wrong path, then even that should be something for us to worry about, as human beings. I think we should be thinking about every human being, and to trying to change their way of life and make sure that they lead a fulfilled life. So, but I think that drone strikes thing really should be dealt with by Pakistan government, the Pakistani government. And when we talk about corruption, this is here. I believe that if Pakistan wanted to stop those drone strikes, they would do it tomorrow. Because if you go back last year or year and a half ago, when there was those Pakistani soldiers who were killed, right? Pakistan stopped the supply lines, and the Americans apologized. So when Pakistan wants to stop those drone strikes, I think it will happen. At the moment, I think the government's colluding with our Pakistani government is colluding with America, and that's very unfortunate.
We have a brother Ahmed from Bradford phoning in.
Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead.
Nice show, first of all, brother. Just regarding that remarks by this story MP with regards to corruption being endemic in Asian communities, particularly in Pakistani communities, I don't necessarily agree with him entirely, but we have to be honest that if you look at the Asian community overall, we do have this corrupted culture back home, whether that's in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh. You tend to basically bribe the official or play around the system if you know somebody in authority, and the elder particularly that they came from those countries tend to have that mentality. I mean, obviously they would not be able to implement that, but the culture and the understanding is still there, and that is kind of trickled down to the next generation. I don't want to generalize, but if you look at overall situation, even the youngsters that are born and bred here, in terms of criminalities, they tend to be more from the indigenous people. If you look at the crime rates, like drugs and so on, I don't want to generalize, I don't want to be apologetic, and I don't want to speak obviously for the Tory chap, but we have to be honest and, admit that there is a culture problem in Asian communities. And we can't just hide away and say, no, you can't just generalize. Now, obviously, I wouldn't justify stereotyping, but to some extent there is a problem in Asian community, and I wouldn't single out just the Pakistani community, but overall the Indian subculture, there is a corruption, problem, and that mentality has kind of trickled down from the elder generation to the younger ones. So I thought I'll just make this point.
Yeah, brother, I don't think I don't need to be apologetic, for anything. Yeah, every time I go to Pakistan, I don't bribe anybody, and I don't give my money to anybody if I don't think he's deserves it. Yeah, that's number one. So as a community, I think the ones who generally bribe people are the ones who actually know that they shouldn't be doing it. The general public, the ordinary person, in Pakistan is trying to put food on the table, and that's millions and millions of them. You understand? The ones who bribe are the ones, like I said, the ruling classes, because they want favour from other people who can do favours for them. Yeah? Okay? Now, we find that the ruling classes, and especially the educated classes, are the ones who are bribing people in Pakistan. And like I said before, they're remnants of the Raj, yeah, okay, and they network with each other, and they bribe each other, and they strip the country of its wealth and resources. But the general public, the God-fearing people in Pakistan, which are millions of them, they are actually involved in social work. They feed the hungry, they pay their zakat, and they help the poor. Yeah, if we didn't have that in Pakistan, if we didn't have that, now let me finish. If we didn't have that in Pakistan, then the country wouldn't be running. It's not running because of governance. It's running because there's millions of good Pakistanis who pay their zakat and they help. So you can't generalize that Pakistan as a whole is a corrupt country.
Well, I've lived there, brother. I've lived there. I've spent my childhood there and my young adult life. So I've seen the system firsthand. Trust me, even if like making an ID card, a simple task like that, they will basically make you suffer, or they will suffer you basically because they like even ask you for a simple form. They will say, we don't have it, come back tomorrow. If you just like the simple things like attestating, unless you give them a money, then you will be able to get
well then I say to those Pakistani,
it's not something
listen,
like,
then we should learn from Gandhi, and if they want to sell the salt to us, and we say we don't want to buy your salt, you understand? So it's about time Pakistanis got up and said, okay, we don't want this ID card. Get lost. Don't do any ID cards then.
Well, you can't, because you need that ID card for official other work. You can't just say I'm not going to make ID card.
But if Pakistani people got up. If Pakistani people got up and the civic society got up and they said, okay, we don't want these cards,
You have to unite millions of people to do that. Just one or two people can't change the system.
Well, then millions of people need to do that, isn't it? Otherwise, how are you going to get change in Pakistan?
I live in Bradford. I've even seen here the Apnes, they tend to exploit the loopholes in the system. I'm not saying all of them are doing it, but quite significant proportion of the population. I'm not saying all of them are like we are all like that, but you can't just deny that there is a problem.
Well, then we got to educate our people not to do the loopholes and be God-fearing.
That's my point. That's my point. If we follow our religion in true spirit, we should set example to other people. Unfortunately, we're not doing that. We're just paying lip service to our religion.
Yeah, there I can agree with you.
It's a hadith in people. The person who's giving rishwat or receiving, both of them are sinful.
Yeah, exactly. So that we should be doing that. So, but it doesn't mean that generally, as a whole, we're a corrupt community.
Well,
and that's why
So I've seen it quite significant portion. I wouldn't say all of you. Obviously, there is good people and bad people in every community.
Well, I don't know. Maybe things are different in Bradford. Yeah, here in Reading, I can tell you that we've got a different crew. All right. Good night. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for your call, brother Ahmed. Nice to hear you from you.
Can I say something?
Just about the ID cards. I tell you what, my experience of Pakistan, the first time I went over there, right? The first time I went back, we was in our van, and what did they do? The copper just stopped us, and the driver handed him. There's no salam, no hi, how you doing, whatever. He gave him his money, and he waved him on. So, what do you say about something like that?
That's how it's worked, and that's how the country's run. You got to go with the rule of the land, ain't you?
That's right. It's part and parcel of that country.
No, I don't think the brother was. He gave an example as a simple ID card.
But everything.
Jaja has left the building, so anyone wanting to talk or put a point to it, next time.
A little while back, I was speaking to a friend of mine. Came from India. Now he's well-to-do, intelligent man. He wanted to open up a company over there, and they wanted a phone line. And he went over to the equivalent to BT or whatever, and they said, "Oh, no way, we've got 20 years waiting list or whatever." He came back and told his mate, we can't get this up and running because of this. He said, "Don't worry." He went there, gave them a few rupees, and that afternoon they had their phone lines. So this, all this, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there is a culture there which demands little back payments. I mean, even in this country here, a little while back, there was a Saudi prince. He was the middleman for some deal with the Saudi government, and he got a kickback. And there was a lot of hoo-ha that the government here actually gave him some money. But that's how it works. The guy over the Saudi prince said, "Listen, this is how it works. I was the middleman, and I expect to get something. You want to call it a bribe, you call it a bribe, but I'm going to call it my middleman fee."
So what happens in this country? People who donate to Labour, Tory, big donations, and then they get maybe a contract or somewhere. Somebody gives them a little favour. So on large scale, happens here all the time.
Coming to the airport in Pakistan, every time I've travelled.
We're travelling today, Sogi, aren't we?
Inshallah,
going back and forth.
Yeah, but I'll tell everyone that, our little mission. Coming from Islamabad International Airport and you've got luggage, it's standard practice for you to drop a few rupees.
Yeah, but no. People with principle would turn around and not drop a few rupees standing in that line. That's what they would do. But people with no principles, no morals, they'd have their uncles and whatnot, well-to-do, come over there, wave them through, and nothing would happen. Now, it's up to you. See, now, do you want to stand that line? I would. Just on my principle, I will stand that line regardless. And I said, and even if they ask me to come to the front, I said no, because I'm no better than the rest of them. So we've got to start there. But how many of our people actually, as soon as they get that opportunity to get that VIP treatment, take that VIP treatment?
All day, every day.
Well, you shouldn't. You should have your principles. You should have morals. You should have scruples.
That was my principles. I paid for it.
There you go then.
But if you paid, is a service he's paying for. That's not corruption.
No, that's corruption.
There's a service as well.
That's corruption.
It's called fast track.
It's
fast track.
What happened to David Blunkett, right, when he was trying to get his nanny's visa fast tracked? He had to resign. See, now Pakistan, everything is fast track because you're paying. But you shouldn't. As Muslims, we should never ever drop a penny, let alone anything, to get anything done. You say, listen,
the brother
is there?
Jump money is not much, is it?
Yeah, but
I'm giving him a bit of.
So basically, what we just said earlier on, right? Bribery. The one that gives it and the one that takes it. You're both in the same boat.
I was never
both
to bribe him.
My
intention was to give him job money, which he wanted.
To make your life easy. To make your life easy.
If it made my life easy,
it did. Because you went, but then you are a part of that. You know what the Islam says, Ram? Just tell you this, right? You know about alcohol? The one that sells it, the one that bottles it, the one that grows the grapes, the one that crushes the grapes, you're all in the same boat.
You started him, Sogi.
You're all in the same boat.
No, if you're crushing the grape, knowing where it's going, then yes.
You're growing the grapes and you knowing where it's going.
Correct.
You're in the same boat.
That's correct, yeah.
So when
I was growing grapes to eat them.
So you know what?
I didn't know someone was going to use them else.
That's right.
That's not my. But intentions. I'm only messing.
No, you got it. Seriously, I know. No. What it is, we need to change. We need to change. Honestly, our community.
But where's that change going to come, Mirza? From
the new generation.
From who?
the new generation.
We're not new generation.
You
We're
know
just,
what?
just a few years down the road from
you know, when Islam came to the Arabs, right, and mostly the young people, they had to go against their parents. They had to fight against their parents. Most of the Pakis now, anything. Now your parents tell you don't. No, I'm telling you, your parents, right? All these young Pakistanis, their parents tell them, right, don't go out clubbing, don't drink, don't do drugs. They will go and do drugs. They'll go and clubbing. They'll go and drink. But you know what?
That's just bad parenting. You never say don't do that to your kids. You know that.
No. Parents do that, and then you lot do all that. But then there's on the flip side, right?
What are you referring to as in
young Pakistanis. So you go against your parents on certain things, and then something else, right? Which is which you won't go against. So I don't understand that. Either you got to have a spine, or you're not going to have a spine.
They don't have a spine.
Never spine. You see me, right? I tell my children, if I'm wrong, don't agree with me. Don't go in that way. I don't really want monkeys. I don't want parrots. I want them to be individuals. I want them to be able to think for themselves and make their own decisions. Because could be dead tomorrow. I know there's loads of Pakistanis that will turn around.
Why I said there's bad parenting.
Loads of Pakistanis will turn around and say, my son and my daughter are going to do what I say. What do you mean? Listen, they're a blessing from Allah. They're a blessing. And you know what? They might even be, for some, right? Unfortunately, it could even be a temporary thing. Okay? You could lose them anytime. So it's not a case of he's going to do what I say, she's going to do what I say. No. Give them some credit. Give them some slack.
Generally, in our community, if the kids go against their parents, they find it very disrespectful. What are your thoughts on that?
Depends. If the parents are wrong and you go against them,
define wrong and right.
It could be anything. Okay. Here, for example, right? You got a load of these people that want to take their kids back home and they marry their cousins and everything. Now,
what's wrong with that then?
Everything's wrong with that because they're not compatible.
Why not?
The girl's about
How
2.
do you know?
The girl could be like the 20 stones, right? And the boy could be about 5 stones.
How do you know the 5 stone guy doesn't like a 20 stone woman?
That's a bit too general. You get a lot of white people who go to Thailand.
No. Listen to me. If you're not compatible with your cousin, right? I think you have the right to turn around and tell your parents, I'm sorry, but there's nothing happening here, Dad. Mum, I know you want to bring your niece over here. I know this, that, and the other. But you know what? You got to turn around.
The Prophet married his daughter to Ali.
Huh?
To Ali, his daughter. So that's the evidence most parents will give.
No, Pakistanis don't understand. There's permissible, there's acceptable, and there's compulsory. Now, certain things are permissible, but we take the permissible as compulsory. Now, you got 5 prayers a day. Most Pakis don't make 5 prayers a day. But when it comes to Traweez, right, they be getting their salwar kameez on and they go, Traweez are not compulsory. The 5 prayers during the day are compulsory. Now, it doesn't say anywhere that it's compulsory to marry your niece or your cousin or whatever it is. It says it's permissible, maybe in worst case scenarios. But it also says to go far and wide. Go and marry far and wide.
Good point.
So, but how far do we go? Next door.
You came to my village, didn't you?
No, but you know what I mean. We have to change seriously. If we don't, right, and the gene pool is getting smaller and smaller in some families. They're going to end up with 10 fingers on one hand and all the rest of it, right? You can't keep marrying your cousins. Stop it.
There you heard it from main man Mirza.
No,
stop marrying your cousins. Now, you have some good points there. I mean. But it's all about educating. Judge had mentioned earlier, it's education.
With me, right?
It's education and parenting, bro.
With me, my niece was dying in hospital. She had a problem with her heart and everything and the doctors put it. I know. See how people will say, well, what about so and so and what about so and so? Well, listen, so and so is okay, but they do say that chances are, if this is what you do, and this is what will happen. Okay, and I actually heard her screaming and everything. All honestly, and it was really, really bad. And I said to myself, then you know what? Even if there's a small chance, 1%, it's a no. It's a no.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man.
Okay, listen to the Very Late Show, 95.6 FM.
Valid points.
The subject was corruption in the Pakistani community, according to some wali out there. But we addressed it to our best of our ability. Paul, you've been very quiet. Before we go, a few words from
Paulie jumping.
A few words from a white perspective of the Pakistani community.
He's half corrupt.
Top half, bottom half.
About what you're saying about going against your parents. There's certain things that I understand what you're saying, but if my dad tells me do it, I would do it. And
even if it was wrong. What are you? Are you a man in your own right, or are you what's the mini me of your dad? If your dad is saying something blatantly wrong, then it's your job to correct your father.
I understand that, but I'd correct him when he's not in the room.
Would you write him a letter? No, seriously.
I know what's right and wrong in my own head, but I don't.
See, I'm just the way I am, and honestly, and I've always been like that. And I tell you, I think anybody who can't say the right thing in the face of whoever, be it your parents or be it some person twice your size, you've got to say what say this is how it. This is what you believe. Now, as long as it's right.
Anybody else, I've got no problem with saying what I believe, but when it comes to my parents.
Why would you want your parents? Would you want? Say if what they were saying was wrong, and you knew that they were wrong. Would you prefer your parents to stay ignorant, or would you prefer them to be corrected? Because they could say that same thing. No, but they could say that same thing, which is wrong, to somebody else one day, and somebody will laugh in their face. Now it's better that you correct them.
I understand that, but with your parents, I think. They reckon they've seen the world and done it all, and they're going to know best.
Yeah, but the world is full of people that think that they know.
I understand.
They don't.
I
personally believe no matter who is serious.
A lot of the younger generation wouldn't go against their parents.
What does Islam say? If something is wrong, put it right physically. If you can't do it physically, verbally. If you can't do verbally, just by some motion. So that same thing applies to your children, to your parents, or whoever. If they're wrong, correct them.
Got a pretty good text in. This is relating to more corruption. This is corruption of parents and to their children. The text reads, here's a challenge to Pakistani parents. If your child is suddenly loaded with cash, ask where the money is coming from. If you suspect that they're dealing in drugs, it's your Islamic duty to tell them straight, basically. If all parents done this and they questioned their children more,
we wouldn't have all these issues.
We would actually probably stop the drug epidemic that's happening in our community. If the parents clamp down on their kids and start asking more questions about the money, which is probably a lot of parents are turning a blind eye. Why is that? Why do you think a lot of parents are turning a blind eye?
It's weird. It's money, isn't it? I sometimes think, right, we're told that pork is bad. So there's people in our community that won't even say pig because they'll say for 40 days or whatever, your tongue is dirty. Now, they're quite happy about saying, oh, I built that goatee because I sold powder. My dad or my granddad been selling powder, and that's what if powder was a pork chop, right, how would you react then? Would everybody be going around all these Pakistanis would have these pork chops in their houses? What would happen? So you need to think. If it's haram, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's pork, if it doesn't matter if it's drink, and it doesn't matter if it's worse than drugs. It's haram. You've got to know, and if you bring haram into your house, and like they say, even if it's a penny, and it'll infect the rest. So all these parents, when their kids are coming back and they got Lamborghinis and they got bloody convertibles and all the rest of it, and your child is thick as two short planks, right? And you know that, and you think, well, you know what? He's not a doctor and he's not a top barrister. He's got to be doing drugs. You need to think. Hang on a minute. You know what? He's actually infecting not just himself, but there's other people out there. It's going to be like a domino effect of other people suffering because of your child. And you will probably end up paying for that, and your child definitely will. And I sometimes think, right, there's, Islam, it tells you like each time that you go to Hajj and you cleanse and everything. I tell you, I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think it's as simple as that. You can do all these things, you go off the Hajj and you come back clean as a baby, you do all these things, you go back again. It doesn't work that way. There are going to be repercussions, there are going to be paybacks, and you will have to pay for this. You might get forgiven. There are probably different levels of punishment, different levels of forgiveness, but it's not as easy as the fact that you can just go over there and cleanse yourself and come back.
It's intentions. You may never get the chance to go over there again. So once you're cleansed, inshallah, you let it be.
Here's another thought. any affluent area, you will never see a liquor store. You probably want to see people walking around the street corners and stuff like that. Always think about that. How did that area become affluent, and how did that area attract certain individuals? We as a Muslim or Pakistani community, we need to think more like that. How do we get our communities to become affluent? We want to become affluent in another way. This is the problem.
Well, if by affluent you mean having loads of money, you don't have to have loads of money.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about affluent as in, a clean community, a respected community. It doesn't necessarily have to be about money. You can live in a village and be respected and live a clean life. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about principles.
Well, we've got to start finding these things, then breed them, and then start applying them. At the moment, we don't. Some of us, not all, we don't seem to have any principles.
You talked about affluent. I mean, Junction, I've noticed, is having a few liquor stores now, so that's down the pants then. Need to move out, probably some people in there. But why is it happening? Well, why is it? I mean, they were selling meat, halal. It was a halal shop one time, and a month later it becomes an alcohol shop.
Because alcohol makes money. Now, that's what it comes back down to again, money. Is money everything? Is it everything? To some people it is, but it shouldn't be everything. Respect, dignity, like again, morals, principles, all these things are the kind of things you should be looking at, not just, so and so has got a big mansion, and so so's got a courtier, and so's got a 4x4. It can't all be about so and so's got this. If so and so is got it by halal means, alhamdulillah, brilliant. But if so and so got anything that is by not halal means, you need to turn around and say, well, you know what, good luck to him, because I don't want it. That's what you got to be.
I think it's also a case of us living in this materialistic world. We have forgotten ourselves as people and our principles. It's well known that Shaitan, he threatens man with poverty, and the first thing people think of, if I stop this, I won't be able to do my £200 shopping a week. Or if I stop this, I won't be able to buy those Gucci shoes, or whatever it might be. And this is the problem. The devil, Shaitan, he threatens man with poverty. And when we start to understand that and fight that and keep to our principles, then we probably become a better people. But as long as we don't see that, we will carry on along the same way.
Baba, all we got to do is say, Allah, if you want me to have poverty, fine. If that's what you want for me. It's like, as a Muslim black cab driver, we come to the front, right, of the station. Now, you get some of these people that are always whinging and, whining about they had a Cavisham. They had, what? Who you whinging and whining about? I mean, end of the day, that's your luck. That's your kismet. Who makes that? Allah gives you that. So who you whining and whinging and that's for Allah. So you turn around and say, Alhamdulillah, Allah, if that's what you want for me to do a Kavisham, that's fine. But can I please have a Gatwick? If you want it, Allah says, ask me for anything that you want. But if Allah's got poverty for you, then say, Allah, if that's what you got, Alhamdulillah, you know best.
Yeah, that's it.
Allah knows best.
End of story. You go on there for a reason. Anything can happen. You go around. If you've got a Gatwick, you can get a puncture on the motorway. Everything's done for a reason.
No, but
the reason is
we keep forgetting what Allah wants for us. We think it's us. Some people that make money, they think, I done this. No, you didn't. Yes, you put effort into it, but the rest was from Allah.
That's down to, again, understanding.
Yeah, but we need to make, see what it is, that old school, I blame these imams for half the problems and stuff out there, right? Because
Astaghfirullah.
No, I do, because honestly...
How can you blame the imams?
No, they need to interact and talk to these people, to the children and to everybody, to make them understand things.
Yeah, but they're hiring the wrong imams.
It's down to the committee members to put the right people.
They're using the wrong...
It's the wrong people in the wrong
without
place.
actually accusing any imam that we know of that he's the wrong person. But it's all about, I wanted to come to that, it's about leadership. I mean, we want to bring a lot of change in the community, like you've been talking about. We do have corruption. Even the guy on that last caller, he did have a point.
Of course he did, yeah.
Generally,
one thing regarding that, right? Honestly, guys, these committee and executive committee and all the other titles they want to give themselves off mosques and stuff. Stick to making sure that the wudu places, the toilets, and the building itself generally is clean, tidy, and attractive and pleasing to anybody, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, and leave the Islamic side of things to the imams and the scholars, because that's their job. So leave those decisions to them, because what it is, you find all these committee members turning around making decisions which they don't know nothing about half the time. So if you concentrate on providing a nice place for everyone to pray in, and leave the religious decisions and what the sermons and everything is to the imams, I think we might start to get somewhere.
But yeah, your point about the keeping it clean, which is right, and the imams, the right people leading it, and the committee members doing the administration. But the main issue is that, like this new Masjid Aisha, we've got Bakr the other side, mashallah, very nice building. But are they going to be centres of excellence, of children who will be learning manners, who will be leaders? This is what I see these mosques are not actually looking to create. What they're looking to create is a masjid, a big building. That's ours, we've done that, that's it. See, most people who've got money, they're probably given there, and hopefully their intention is clean and Allah will reward them. But you're just leaving an empty shell. You're not actually doing anything. There's no leaders. There's no good imams who can actually take it to the next level.
I think what's happening is, alhamdulillah, I think the masjids that are being built are a reflection of the success of the community, as in wealth-wise, probably because people have money to give. But as Brother Chechi says, if you're not, putting time into the masjids, practically they will just become landmarks. And they'll just become showpieces. They won't be used properly.
Just to jump in, there's a great example. We were talking about David Cameron and these people, Etonians. Why are they leading the country? Etonians. Yeah. Why? Because these people, they're the top school, Harrow and Eton. These are the schools they went to. These people, whether you want to call it, groomed into that position or put in those positions to lead the country.
Yeah, from a young
to
age,
be leaders.
groomed, yeah.
So just looking on a small scale, just Reading, we're building these masjids, and to me, I've spoken to these people, I disagree with a lot of the stuff they're doing. And when you even want, if you say a few points, they just dismiss you, and all they want to say is, where's your money? No, when I give my money, it's going to be because I know you're going to do something with that money. That's how I give my money for anything.
I disagree with a lot of things, and I do speak out and everything. I've always known that mosques, right, in Islam, mosques should never be extravagant. Exactly. Now, to me, domes and minarets had their purpose at one time, because somebody climbed on top of a minaret and he gave the azan, so people a little bit far could hear it. In this country now here, we don't need minarets, because no one's going to climb up there.
No, even the architecture of this country doesn't fit with the minaret.
And the domes, right, was supposed to be something supposed to be acoustic, yeah?
For the sound to travel, yeah.
You got speakers, you don't need that. So now mosques should just be 4 walls and a roof, and keep it simple, because they say treat this life like a journey. Now, if you're going from here up to Manchester or Birmingham, how many mosques are you going to make along the way? Keep them simple. And if you keep them simple, you might have decent worshippers. You start making them extravagant, and I think, you're inviting trouble, personally.
Oh, yeah. No, but generally, even I think people have travelled around the world, where there's the Muslim world even, and all you ever hear is somebody say, oh, mashallah, beautiful masjid. And really, and then I ask them sometimes, who's in the mosque? What type of people? Old people. That just tells you the situation of the Muslim world anyway. That if there's old people in there, their last leg, they want to spend in the mosque. Ask them where the youth is, doing something else probably.
I mean, in terms of the masjids, I mean, we're talking about the aesthetics, the looks of the masjids and how it, looks beautiful, and, we're trying to make a statement.
They're not supposed to be beautiful.
But what do the masjids have to do practically to make them successful? We've been living in Reading all our lives. Practically, what are they doing for the youth? Are they actually producing, knowledgeable youth who are probably Hafiz of Quran? Are they grooming them to become alims or scholars? What are they doing with the youth? Is it still that same old thing? When I was a kid, after school, you go to the masjid, you learn Quran for 1 hour and a half or whatever, take some licks and go home. Is it still that same?
Yeah, it's same.
I'm hoping it has changed.
I just think they've just gone from, they're going to go from a smaller masjid, this is talking about Aisha Alexandra, to a bigger place. But really, it's just like if you look at when companies grow from having a little office. They were actually doing the work to have a big office. They're making money, whatever they're doing. So with the masjid, if you're actually not doing activities, and I've said it so many times, people say, no, brother, now they're going to do something. Well, they're not going to do something, because if they can't do it on a small scale, I say, you will never do it on a big scale. Because when you get the big scale, you know what they're going to complain about? Oh, the cost of running this place is too much. So at the moment, we're just worried about that. That's what they're going to tell you, because they already told me that. This is what I get from them. So if we are really, Mirza, you want to bring you want the youth, but the only way the youth are going to learn is if there's places they can go and learn their deen. With PCC now, I think there will be some regular talks you guys want to introduce and have different.
Definitely. I mean,
but that is the way it worked when we had As-Sabil. Regular people were coming and it helped them.
But it's simple. With everything in life, you just start off with the truth and work out. So whatever you say and do, if you can be truthful, no matter, going back to about parents or whatever, or anybody, just speak the truth. Doesn't matter what who you upset or whatever. And I think that's a good start. I mean, you could be praying 5 times a day, you could be doing all that, and if the truth's not there, right, you can't speak the truth in front of people. Then you ain't got nothing. All your prayers, all your fasts, all your everything don't amount to nothing. Just be truthful. Start off with that, and honest to God, you can't go wrong.
But most of the time when you speak the truth, Mirza, and you know that, and
you upset people.
You're a troublemaker.
No, but tough. That's how it is. You speak the truth.
You're a troublemaker every time.
Some people can't handle the truth.
You need, but
that's right.
The truth should always be backed with facts and figures. Facts. That's what if you don't have no facts, then you don't know whether you got the truth. You got to have facts.
Truth will set you free.
It does, bro. It does.
It does. Yeah.
So
it enlightens the soul. Really does. So again, great point, my brother. Amazing. You're getting a lot of support via text and emails, etc.
Let's change our community, honestly, please.
Like to say a little update on the PCC. The PCC have a new stage area built by
the man himself,
Uncle Mirza himself. Mashallah, I know you don't like to brag and this and that, but we got to point that out. It has a new stage area. The purpose of the new stage is that people who are doing mendis, or if you want to do Islamic talk or a presentation or whatever it may be, you'll have an elevated area where the speaker or individuals want to take pictures or whatever it may be. It can be used for that. And it's quite a decent area. The centre's been painted as well, freshly, both halls. We're going to start working on the outside, and inshallah slowly, and also to get rid of the debt issue. Inshallah, we're working on that also. So that's the update there.
Also has a new website, readingpcc.com. We just want to get that in. Go on there. Get excited.
Find that. Sorry,
it's called readingpcc.com.
Reading PCC.
Okay, the stage is not totally finished. We've still got to varnish it and all the rest of it. But there, like I mentioned to the girls group on Saturday, I said to them, listen, obviously just for girls and their mums, you could do plays and things there. You gotta use that center. And I said to the girls group, I said, it can't be a case of you just come here, play badminton and run around a little bit and go home. You got to do something constructive. And same with the boys group, they can do certain things that will make them more confident for when they go out there and they're going to be trying to get jobs and other things. So
I think when the PCC starts doing academic activities, this will involve more presentations, so the kids can do more presentations. And this presentations are excellent for building confidence. So when the kids get on top of a stage and in front of 50 people or 40 people, it builds their confidence. So this is something else that Team Change wants to do.
If they can do that on the stage, then walking into an office and having 2-3 people sitting there interviewing you will be a doddle. The other thing is, guys, I'm still struggling, and even if I'm going to have to do it myself, but I need volunteers, please. We need volunteers for this year 5 and 6 working at level 4 to 5. It's not difficult. All we want to do is get these children, when they go into secondary school, to be in the top sets as opposed to bottom sets, which is a hard climb for anybody.
So what are you specifically looking for when you say that?
We're looking for teachers. Yeah, teachers. No, but not even if they don't have to be. Even
Not
the people that
teachers,
are
not
like
teach.
sixth formers or anybody like that. Anybody who's got a good knowledge of. I mean, it's basic maths and basic English that most of us can do. But it'd be better coming from maybe somebody who who's still fresh.
Yeah.
You know,
could teach basically.
but like I said, honestly, it's like with the painting. When nothing was being done, I went and I started painting it until Manzoor said, "Look, I got somebody or whatever." So now with this, right, I'm gonna have to go in there and I'm gonna set the chairs up and start the thing come January and let you know. But it'd be nice if we can get some teachers.
We've just lost the teacher. He was just there.
Who was that, sorry?
Julian. He's gone.
That's what he is. Teacher.
Oh, brilliant! Well, you know what? Give me his number, man.
He's a regular, he's a resident.
Is he?
So yeah.
Yeah, seriously, and he's intelligent as well. And he's intelligent, which is brilliant.
Yeah, no, he's very he's up there.
He knows.
And he
You
can
know
also-
what?
He
That
can
thi-
also challenge you to one of them as well.
Oh, okay. So, but that India-Pakistan thing, honestly, I mean, he hit the nail on the head, and that's
I
exactly
think
what I've been
so. You
trying
need to do a show on that. That'd be a cracker of a show.
What's that?
What's that?
Where there's like Manzoor was kind of saying that he's pro Pakistan, the creation of it, and really if you read, obviously there's more Muslims in India at that time, and then even the split, and look at the losses. The millions of people that
you
to
know what?
migrate.
And people are still
amazing.
suffering.
I didn't
People,
know that,
but
I didn't know that.
listen to me, right? Say if there's less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us in here, yeah. We're surrounded by what's the name, EDL and BNP. 3 of us get airlifted, and they go to a nice safe area. What does that do? Leave the other 3, 4 here to deal with whatever. So wouldn't it be better if all of us were here to deal with them, as opposed to 3, 4 of us being? I mean, you got more Muslims in India than you have in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I personally think. I mean, I could be wrong here, and I don't want anybody bombing my house. But
it's a good topic to touch on.
It's a good
Bring
point.
it.
Yeah, another point I'd
Bring it
just
on.
like to add is that the problem with the Muslim people is that there's far too many groups and too many different opinions, and when you can have 10 million or 20 million in one country, the problem is that there's too much division within.
But
there's too much schools of thought.
not only that, but if Pakistan,
Too much
right,
sex.
if Pakistan had gone forward leaps and bounds, and the people were not starving and all the rest of it, and they were all being fed and clothed and educated, and they had a decent standard of living, I would say brilliant, the partition. But those people are no better off now than they would have been, and we're not even any better off now than when we were under the British rule.
Well, India is
we've done is
one of the
swapped.
biggest democracies now, and is very growing there.
All we've done, right? We keep saying, "Oh, we got rid of the British." All you done is get rid of white faces that oppressed you and replaced with brown faces that are oppressing you. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'm no expert on the topic, but from what I see of Pakistan, the issue just always stems from the different types of groups and opinions, and the underlying issue is obviously the poverty. People need to be fed first.
Yep.
But
Educated,
I think it's just too much division there. And
fed, clothed, and educated.
Yeah,
that's what they need.
With that said, I think we need to wrap up the show. We've really gone on. We've started off on topic, then we were off topic, then we went back to topic and off topic again.
Anyway,
but this is a late show.
There's a lot to talk about always. And it's good to have discussions, not arguments, but discussions, because you learn from them. So assalamu alaikum to everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, and tune in next week. Watch this space.
Next week, inshallah, I think we've got Affluent and the Keys artist. So look out for that on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other means. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.